Hello, race fans. Welcome to another episode of Short Track Guys Podcast, brought to you by ShortTrackExclusives.com. I'm your host, Thomas Faddis, alongside two other short track guys in the studio, as always. Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07 Can'tQuitFishing.com sportsman, locally here at Five Flag Speedway, and Ted Baber Video Productions here locally at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, we should have an update from last week at Five Flag Speedway, but unfortunately we had some Florida weather come in.
Oh, rain stinks. But
Not just here.
well, the bad part about it was it didn't actually rain. He called the races, and I mean he had to because it was looking like it was going to. I go downtown Pensacola with my pet skunk and my girlfriend at the time. We're sitting there eating dinner. And there's no rain. We're outside, and I'm taking a picture, and I put it on Facebook. Don't you love this rain we had? But it gets better. The car's ready to go, by the way. It's cocked, locked, and ready to rock. And just got to put it on the trailer and take it somewhere. So I got to go to Daytona, which was a pretty cool deal from Five Flag Speedway for being track champion. We're supposed to go down and get to walk across the stage and do all kinds of cool stuff. Well, all that didn't happen because of that said rain. Get down there Saturday, enjoy the day walking through the midway, getting hats. I got to meet Kyle Petty, got his autograph, which is he's a really cool guy. Got his book, Swerve or Die. I recommend it very highly. I've only read the forward of it, and I'm enjoying it already, and I'm really going to enjoy the rest of it. So we did that, went up to the Exalta injector, and it started raining, which is, then they called the races. So we had to get up the next morning and come back to the racetrack. Good seats. We're on the third level. We could see the start-finish line. It was going to be a good show. And 3/4 of the way through the race, it rained again. And me and Kim had to leave because we had to get back home. Both have to work on Monday. And if it was the whole race, I would have stayed. But there was only like 25 laps left to go. So I wasn't going to make a big fuss out of it. But special thank you to Tim Bryant and the people at Daytona for putting that on for us. It was really cool that we got to go. Robert Loper, he was there, and the truck champion was there, which was really cool to see him after he had that bad wreck at Snowball Derby where he flipped the truck. And but he was Hunter was doing good. Hunter Johnson.
Yep.
Congratulations to him. And we didn't get to do the stuff we were supposed to do, but it was still cool to go to Daytona. It was really cool to stand in those grandstands and see that racetrack. Yeah. It's pretty damn awesome. So that was my experience other than the rain. I had to walk back to the car in soggy old shoes and a wet shirt and a wet hat and everything else to get back to the car so we could leave. But thank you to Tim Bryant and everybody for putting that on for us. It was still cool.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was good to see you there. It's hard work in the shop, and you've earned it. And the others were there. I'm sure it was a great experience, albeit the rain and the weather. But everybody knows that if you're in Florida, they say just if you don't like the weather, just wait 15 minutes, it'll change. And pretty much in the state of Florida, everywhere it will do that same thing. And it seems like even though they've changed that race from July to August, it really didn't seem to make any difference. So, I'm sad to hear that you had that experience. It should have been, 2 days just straight through, but it didn't happen. But you did get to see what you did, and there's not a lot of people that have been through that.
No, it was cool. I want to make plans to go to the 600 to Charlotte and do that race. But that was cool. Like I said, thank you to them for doing that for us. They didn't have to. I mean, there was Brad May from New Smyrna was there, the late model champion, and there were some people there from Bubba Speedway, the dirt track. I didn't know any of those people, but I knew who Brad May is. We all have talked about him before, so he was there. That was cool. But he didn't come back Sunday. It was just us Five Flags folks there Sunday, so that was cool. We got to watch the majority of the race, got to watch the big wreck, so that was cool.
Hate to say that the weather put a damper on your festivities there, but it did.
More like a dampener. It was wet. I mean, it was awful. I mean, it was just terrible. And poor Kim, she got soaked. I got soaked. We drove. We actually stopped and had to buy her a T-shirt that she could dry off so we could go eat when we were on our way home. So it was but still, it's a memorable experience. And like I said, I thank them for doing it.
And obviously that's been earned throughout the season, being track champion, 2021 sportsman champion here at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. And I'm sure you're going to have more of that coming your way. And depending on, your situation, whether you want to pass off the torch to, your your family and some upbringings that you're mentoring. So we'll just have to see what plays out in the future for you and your sportsman class. But we're going to pass off to Ted and the Grand National Super Series, which we've tried to talk and touch on quite a bit. Limited information I think we've had in the past,
Yes,
but I think
unfortunately.
I think Ted's touched on some like really up to date stuff.
We've got a really good readout of the press release from them. But apparently this last race at Franklin County was just a little bit... There had a lot of the drivers had some problems. There were issues with during the races with people making contact or blown motors or busted radiators. Mechanical issues just plagued quite a few people. Some of them made all the races. They always run a pair of features. So, they invert the first... after they qualify, they invert the top 6 cars. They run the first race and then invert the entire field for the second race. And there was just a lot of action going on throughout the entire race. I want to get to the finishing order so you can understand how they're doing things there. The first feature they had, the results from that one were A.J. Henriksen won the first race, Kevin Cromer second, Joe Wilder, then Bob Shack, Jason Shue, Mike Kurkowski, Eric Barber, Tyler Ashley, Larry Wilcox, and Mark Jones rounded up the top 10. When they did the inversion, it forces the guys that win to come up through the field, and the results weren't all that much different, but you'll notice a few changes here and there. The second race, Joe Wilder managed to come out on top there. A.J. Henriksen came in second. Then it was Eric Barber, Larry Wilcox, Kevin Cromer, Bob Shack, Billy Keys, Mark Jones, and Mike Kurkowski. It's an interesting concept, the way that they do these things, and we want to try to get some more information about the cars. We're still trying to get in touch with Bob Shack and Jack Bowsher to see if we can find out a little bit more about the series. Speaking of the series, they do have 2 more races coming up on the 10th of September at Caraway Speedway, and the last event that they have on the schedule so far is the 1st of October, Cowardary County Speedway, and I'm looking forward to hearing about those on the next episode.
Yeah, this is the series that we just talked about not too many episodes ago with Frank Kimmel and Jeremy Mayfield sweeping weekends, and so we hope. I think we've tried to reach out for Bob to have him on as a guest and find out a little bit more about that Grand National Super Series, and we're still working on it, and hopefully we can come up with some news maybe next week or so, and see if we can't make that happen.
I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds like a good series. I think it's cool that they're taking old Grand National cars and old Busch cars and old ARCA cars and getting some use out of them.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of old, whether it's a race or not, but we've had some incidents in racing here in the last couple of weeks at North Wilkesboro. And I want to credit a lot of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. efforts to getting this done. He is actually in the Cars Tour race tonight, which we're not going to be able to get to because it's happening right now.
Yes.
But we've had modified races. We put it on our Facebook page. Man, I'm telling you that the lineup that we went over last week at North Wilkesboro with this Cars Tour, Carson Quapple set the fast time, sat on the pole in the 8 car with the iRacing logo on it. I think Junior qualified 6th for tonight's race. And I'm telling you, they're expected to fill the place up with the fans.
Oh, they had to open extra grandstand area for tonight, and also Junior was fastest in 2 rounds of practice. Also like to give a shout out to a local driver, Jonathan Langham, went up there with his street stock and qualified very well and finished 6th. So that was pretty cool that he brought our hometown racing local Gulf Coast driver, went up there and did very well. And, it's something I wanted to do, but the funding didn't materialize for me to make that trip, and he did, and has done a great job, and he's actually made their website, so that's pretty cool. One of our guys that I raced against did very well in North Wilkesboro.
He kind of took a knife to a gunfight. He said he had a sportsman car up there and had to make some changes to it to get it to be competitive, but it was.
Well, it's got a 9-inch. It's a nice piece. It's a car that belongs to a friend of theirs. I think he It's one of their crew members. If I'm not mistaken, he was building the car for him, and then they decided to take it to North Wilkesboro. So they did a great job. Congratulations to those guys. Glad to see it. And part of the Muffler Mafia over in
Yes,
Mobile.
indeed.
And part of my competition, and they're tough. And it's cool to see them go somewhere else and do well. And maybe we can go up there and do well with them next time.
There you go.
Yeah, well, the big controversy at North Wilkesboro so far was with Cole Butcher.
Yeah.
And, you know, what went on with Eddie McDonald, Gabe Brown, Johnny Clark, and Max Cookston. But Johnny Clark finishing fourth. We watched the video, and we've gone over it several times. We've had some discussion before we went on.
We've dissected it.
Yeah, dissected it, correct? And so if you haven't seen that, my first awareness of it was the reaction and the comments that were made about how it ended up. And after we saw the video, what do you guys assess?
I mean, the video shows you one thing, and everybody has an opinion on what took place. But I mean, if you look at it very carefully, Johnny Clark he went to the outside of two cars and going into 1 and 2. And even though the 58 car of Hebert was not strictly on the bottom of the track where he should have been, you know, get out of the way. Now, there are so many variables. I mean, did he have a spotter? Was his spotter on top of him? Where was Johnny Clark's spotter? There's just a lot of things, a lot of moving parts that are literally.
Well, the one part about spotters is this. They do their job, but some drivers don't want you to tell them what's going on in front of them. Let me do this, you do that. You know, you let me know what's going on behind you, what lap I'm on, stuff like that. The lap car was in the way, admittedly, and all that happened is when Johnny checked up, I mean, the man's right on his rear end. Yeah. They're coming off the corner. They both went to accelerate. Johnny lifted, Cole hit him, and he spun out. There was no malice, no dirty to that at all, in my opinion. It was just a racing deal. Congratulations to Cole Butcher. He deserves the win. He was fast. He was right there. It wasn't like he dumped the guy intentionally. It was just hard racing. It was just a racing deal. But like it goes back to what we talked about last week, lapped cars get out of the way.
Right.
If it's especially that late in the race, you're battling for position, get out of the way. You're not going to gain nothing by staying on the lead lap. You're not going to win it. You haven't been up front all day. You know, when they say the leader's coming up on you, get all the way to the bottom and just stay down there and let them race it out. If you're getting lapped in a 250-lap race and it's late in the show, like I said, you're not going to gain anything by staying on the lead lap. You weren't up front all day. Get out of the way. The race director should come on the radio and say, 78 car, get out of the way. The leaders are coming up on you. If they're battling for, say that they're lapping the fifth place car and they're battling for fifth, I get it.
Right. Yeah.
You're battling for a top 5, but this guy probably wasn't going to finish in the top 10, period. Get out of the way. But even still, you know, where's Johnny Clark thinking I should go to the outside and pass this guy instead of trying to run in behind him? And he parked it, and the 53 got him. I mean, it was just a racing deal. There was no dirty nothing to it at all.
Yeah, I think we've seen it enough to understand as racers and videographers, you know, that Cole Butcher, that 53 car, did nothing wrong. You know, Johnny Clark had to check up because of a lap car on whether he's in the right or wrong spot. Ted, we've watched it a couple of times. Yeah. So he wasn't really on the bottom, close to the white line. He was just a little off of it. Yeah. And the lap before,
Clark had gone around 2 cars on the outside that, you know, with no problem.
Right.
But those 2 cars were hugging the bottom, unlike this 58 car.
Right. Well, the one thing about it too is it's where you catch lapped cars. Yeah. It can screw you because if you catch them coming off the corner, you're full throttle and you have to lift, the guy behind you is going to run you over. If you catch them getting in and they park it, you might be okay. But it depends on where you catch them to. It's 6-1, half dozen of the other. Sorry for what happened to Johnny Clark. Like I said, congratulations, Cole Butcher. He did a great job.
Yeah, I read some comments after that race was over, and that was actually my perception of what had happened before we actually got some access to the video to see what happened in the last few laps. 9 to go, I think, was when we picked it up, and they were pointing the finger at Cole Butcher, and when he got out of the car, you know,
he
you
got
can
roundly booed. When he
yeah,
got out.
exactly. Everybody was like he had done something wrong, and I'm like, damn, did he move somebody out of the way?
Yeah.
But he really didn't. It was a checkup from a car in front. I hate to say lap car because that's kind of put my staple on it because that's usually what I was. But as you stayed on the bottom, the tech director said if you're a lap car, if you're behind and leaders come up behind you, stay on the bottom.
You're not going to convince Johnny Clark fans are going to see it one way. Cole Butcher fans are going to see it. Hebrew fans are going to see it a different way. You know, everybody, you can show them all the same thing and everybody's going to see it the way they want to see it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, it's perception. But from what I seen, it was just a racing deal. Cole Butcher didn't do anything dirty. It wasn't like he got to his quarter panel, hooked him, and sent him.
Right.
He just hit him when Johnny Clark was checking up, and it just got him loose, and around he went.
And Butcher got tagged by the car behind him, too. So that was another little piece that wasn't seen well.
Right.
It just happens. That was just a hard racing deal.
Yeah, it's a racing deal for sure. And you know, from the videos that we saw, it was just like Jim said, it was a racing deal, and the 54 tried to check up, did go on the outside like he'd done the lap before, and Butcher got in the back of him, and they got him sideways, and he turned around and spun his tires, and Cole Butcher ends up winning the Oxford 250. So I mean, being a racing deal, what can you expect?
It's going to happen.
Yep, you're going to get together. If you put that many folks on a racetrack, stuff's going to happen. And like I say, he checked up, he got turned. It's just part of it. I'm pretty sure after he seen the video, he probably went, oh, okay, well, maybe it wasn't all his fault. So,
and the comments that I've read, you know, that what I gathered, it's totally opposite of what I've seen. So, it is a racing deal, and congratulations to Cole Butcher. You know, and you know, I know the Oxford 250 is a big win. 25,000 to win.
Always.
And then our buddy Bubba Pollard didn't do as well as we had hoped, but he finished back in the back, and I still don't understand and don't have any information about what had happened. I think he had some good practice speeds. He was happy about being up there, you know, with having an Oxford 250 in his resume. But we'll touch base on what happened. What's coming up with him next week.
Could be some good racing coming up, fellas.
Yep. Before we sign up, I got some Port City race cars on the urge of Bubba Pollard. You know, with the Port City race car situation we got some shout outs for Daryl Church at Seekonk this past weekend, and Isaac Ross at Plymouth Motor Speedway, Steve Stacy at South Bend Motor Speedway, Marcel Gravel at Thunder Road International Speedway, Anthony Danta at Grundy County Speedway, all in Port City chassis. And you know, with Bubba Pollard behind that, you can't be too far behind.
No, not at all. And wanted to bring up a subject while we were talking about lap cars and safety and things like that. There was a dirt car that flipped over this weekend, and the roll cage went completely flat into hoop. The back hoop and everything mashed down on this guy, and he's very lucky that it bent his seat forward and pinned him in the car and didn't do any worse than that. Guys, you got to get your roll cages built right. You got to understand that when that thing flips over on its lid, you can't have stuff not braced. There was stuff on that cage that wasn't braced. There was no gussets.
Right. No.
There was no, they call it an Earnhardt bar, it goes down the middle of the windshield. That keeps all that stuff from mashing down. Vent bars. You got to have definitely use gussets in the upper part of your cage, because that guy's dang lucky he wasn't killed. I mean, and we don't want to see anybody hurt in a race car, but you got to look at the geometry of how that stuff's built, and is it going to brace? Is it going to hold? Triangulation is where it's at. Yep. The back bars weren't triangulated very well. They were very long, so I mean that whole thing just collapsed down on top of him. I've never seen a roll cage like that, but I would recommend you guys, man, pay attention to all that stuff, because that's your butt out there. We're not racing NASCAR. If we get hurt in one of these cars and we can't support our families or pay our bills, what are we going to do? Because only a track handout only happens just a little bit, and Aflac don't pay that much.
Right. You can't. Yeah, I mean, you really can't skimp on safety.
No.
I mean, if they require a neck collar, if they require a Hans device, a certain rated safety helmet and your gloves and everything, you just can't skimp on safety.
It may not be required, but don't sacrifice quality. Use the right kind of pipe in the cage too.
Yeah, it could have been thin pipe too, or a real old roll cage. That's the thing too. I'm very leery about racing cars that are over 30 years old because those cages rot from the inside out.
Right. You don't know.
If you had a deal that could run up and down like they have pipe fitters have to tell the thickness of the pipe, maybe you could learn from that. But I'm telling you, that car was missing a lot of triangulation and a lot of bracing that would have never happened. The car probably would have been junk, but the driver wouldn't have been sitting with his head forward, pinned in the seat.
Had to be cut out.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. I saw it and I was like, oh my God. And then he got out and walked away from that. I was just like, dude, you better go to church on Sundays, all I can tell you.
Yes.
I mean, safety's where it's at. We want, as short track guys, we race, we want safety. We want nobody to get hurt. We want everybody to go home. Just please pay attention to things like that. Gussets especially. Gusset. If it's an older car and there's no gussets, put gussets in it. If it's an older car that has gussets, brace them up.
Well, speaking of gussets, who's going to win at North Wilkesboro tonight as we're speaking?
Well,
we've got
a sixth place qualifier, maybe.
It would be cool. It would be cool to see Junior win that race in the sun drop number 3. But, Carson Quapple's probably going to be the car to beat. Yeah. He's out of the junior stables. They might get a 1-2 out of it. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. Be a 3-8 finish or an 8-3 finish. That'd be fine with me. But, I think Junior, I just saw a video with his interview about his progress and what his feelings were, and he's a huge instrumental part of putting this whole thing together. I mean, even with iRacing, with
them cleaning the track like they did, and we did everything so they could scan it. That was a cool deal. And then actually getting a race, I'm just jealous of Jonathan Langham, I have to admit, because he's a local guy. But I would love to make it around the historic surface, just on the old surface, because when they pave it, it's going to be hooked up.
Yeah, and I've got. Just a vision or a feeling of being there in real life, especially the modified ground pounders that we've been talking about. Like the Smart Modifieds, the Whalen Modifieds, the 15-inch grippers that down like a half an inch from the ground. It seems like
go-karts with 800
horsepower.
Oh,
man. They just rumbled. And I'd love to see it. And just to see North Wilkesboro and an old speedway like that with history coming back to life. It's just awesome.
I just want to take advantage of this number 8 we're talking about for just a second, because that's the number of points that separate Jake Garcia from Gio Ruggiero in the Show Me the Money series. It's coming up this Saturday at Montgomery. So y'all want to be there for that too.
Roger that.
And we got that big late model race in Mobile this weekend too, the SRL series. That's going to be a good one. Our boy Bubba's going to be there along with a lot of the big name drivers. So plenty of short track racing to get to. Sunday at Southern Raceway here in Milton, they're going to have a big race for the owner's birthday. So there's plenty of racing to get to. Get out and get to your local short tracks. And before we sign off tonight, I want to let the Jones family, Todd and Osmond Jones, to know we're thinking about them. Todd's father, Tiger Jones, passed away this past week, and I've known Tiger a very long time. My ex-wife's uncle and him are like best friends. They're probably on a bench in heaven watching racing and laughing and talking, because that's what those old guys do. But Tiger was always a fan of mine, always cheered for me when I was on the racetrack, and I always thought that was neat of him. Great guy, great family, and just our thoughts and prayers out to the Jones family, losing a great person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good people. I've known Todd a long time. So,
we got Mobile, we got Pensacola, we got Montgomery, we got
North
Wilkesboro, we got we don't talk much about we don't talk much about the weekends at the big tracks, and I know they're probably going to Darlington or something this weekend. But we're a Short Track Guys podcast, and we're putting it out for you guys to listen. That's all we are, really, a short track. We're race fans first and foremost, but we're short track guys, and that's what we bring to you. And we appreciate you and your support. It's our motivation, and that's why we keep doing it, because we appreciate it. And
give us a 5-star review when you can. Always give us a shout out, and just, keep us in your repertoire of podcasts you listen to, and tell your friends.
Tune in and turn it up.
That's it. And tell your friends and give us a listen, because we're trying this for y'all.
Yep.
So.
And we've got a 1, 2, 3.
Let's go, Brandon. Good night, everybody.